About those totals, guys.
Well, and let's talk about that snow. It was a wet weekend for a lot of us down low, of course, snow in the mountains with some of that rain coming in too. That means you had an increase in avalanche risk at a lot of places. Some ski resorts even delayed the opening yesterday because the risk was just too high to open up.
The Utah Avalanche Center telling people to avoid avalanche terrain altogether this week. News specialist Brianna Chavez has that story.
This weekend's winter storm bringing in lots of fresh powder across the Wasatch Front.
We knew that the storm was coming in. Our teams have been preparing for it all week.
Close to 40 inches of snow coming to Snowbird, delaying Sunday morning's opening.
So due to ongoing natural avalanche activities, strong winds, and heavy snowfall, we made the decision to shut down all of our lifts except for Chickadee today. Chickadee is our beginner hill.
With this storm, which was a blockbuster, we just knew the danger was going to go through the roof.
The weekend storm causing high avalanche risks across northern Utah. Drew Hardesty with the Utah Avalanche Center says dozens of avalanches took place in the backcountry, both natural and human caused.
Folks may not have the mindset that it's not just ski and riding season, but it's avalanche season, and that's no joke out there. These avalanches are big and not to be trifled with.
Urging people to avoid all avalanche terrain.
That's avoiding all slopes steeper than 30 degrees and avoid being underneath them because you can trigger them from the valley below.
And while fresh snow may look inviting, resorts like Snowbird say safety is top of mind.
And of course, we want to get our guests out on the mountain skiing, but looking towards tomorrow, we're going to keep assessing, keep seeing what terrain we can get open and see if we can get people out on the mountain, but the safety will remain our first priority.
Brianna Chavez, KSL 5 News.
Okay, well, there you go. I like the terminology, a blockbuster storm. Matt's going to talk about it. Stay in the loop with our weather forecast, though. Get the weather alerts that you need right as this conflict began.
We're shining the spotlight on a local group that's doing great work for families in Utah County.
Yeah, organizers with Utah Valley Refugees held an awareness night in Provo on Saturday. The group helps people displaced from other nations establish a new life right here in Utah.
The best way to help refugees is to be there, to be close to them, to be their friend. That's what I always say, because when you are their friend, you will know what they really need.
Their goal here is to make those refugees self-reliant within 6 to 12 months by helping them find housing and employment. Many of the people they're helping right now are from Ukraine, as well as Africa and Latin America. To date,
12 of the refugees that have gone through that program have gone on to become homeowners here in Utah. If you'd like to make a donation or get involved as a volunteer, visit UtahValleyRefugees.org.
All right, let's get back to our forecast. We saw just a great...
On I-15 looking good as well.
This weekend's storm brought a lot of snow to some Utah ski resorts.
Yeah, the snow also caused delays because of the snow. The avalanche risk was just too high in some spots. News specialist Mike Anderson joins us live. Great to have you early on here. Mike, let's talk about the safety reminders for those who really want to get up and do the skiing and the snowboarding.
Yeah, Dan and Laura, you know, the Utah Avalanche Center reported dozens of avalanches yesterday in the backcountry, reminding people to avoid the avalanche terrain altogether.
With this storm, which was a blockbuster, we just knew the danger was going to go through the roof.
And Snowbird received close to 40 inches of snow, saw strong winds and natural avalanche activity, shutting down most of their lifts. Drew Hardesty with the Utah Avalanche Center reminds people that it's not just skiing and snowboarding season, but also avalanche season.
And that's avoiding all slopes steeper than 30 degrees and avoid being underneath them because you can trigger them from the valley below.
And Snowbird safety says safety is their top priority for today. They will continue to assess the situation and see if they can open any terrain up. And Hardesty says that avalanche danger is going to continue to be elevated through the week. Guys, back to you.
So the message is be careful.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we want to enjoy and have fun, but be careful. Today kicks off Avalanche Awareness Week, with good reason to report. It was a snowy weekend for the ski resorts, and we mean a lot of snow. All of it came down, and the avalanche danger went up in our mountains.
Alta had to delay opening by several hours on Sunday because of avalanche mitigation. Avalanche activity forces Snowbird to close all of their lifts except for one. Utah Avalanche Center lists everywhere right now is high danger.
Yeah, news specialist Mike Anderson joining us here for KSL today with some warnings from officials. Mike, everybody's so excited about the snow, and that amount brings with it some dangers.
Yeah, for sure, Dan and Lori. You know, the Avalanche Center says the danger is high in the mid to upper elevations and even considerable on the lower slopes. And they reported dozens of avalanches yesterday in the backcountry.
With this storm, which was a blockbuster, we just knew the danger was going to go through the roof.
And close to 40 inches of snow came down at Snowbird. That combined with strong winds and natural avalanche activity caused them to shut down most of their lifts. Drew Hardesty with the Utah Avalanche Center reminds people that it's not just skiing and snowboarding season, but also avalanche season.
And that's avoiding all slopes steeper than 30 degrees and avoid being underneath them because you can trigger them from the valley below.
And Snowbird says safety is their top priority, and for today they will continue to assess the situation and see what lifts and terrain they can open up. And Hardesty says avalanche danger is going to remain elevated through the week as we have a lot of new snow on top of a persistent weak layer that we got from our late October, early November snowfall. Back to you.
You just have to be careful.
Yep.
Really, if you go out in the backcountry, that's for sure. Mike, thank you. UDOT putting out their own reminders to drivers
all morning long. This weekend storm brought a lot of snow, as we saw up there, especially in our mountains. Not a ton in the valleys, but that's okay with all of us. The snow did cause some delays for resorts opening up, hoping to have a big weekend, but the avalanche risk was just too high.
Yeah, news specialist Mike Anderson joining us live this morning. And Mike, what are some safety reminders for those who are heading up in the mountains this season?
Yeah, Lori and Dan, you know, the Utah Avalanche Center reported dozens of avalanches yesterday, reminding people to avoid the avalanche terrain altogether.
With this storm, which was a blockbuster, we just knew the danger was going to go through the roof.
And Snowbird received close to 40 inches of snow and saw strong winds and natural avalanche activity shutting down most of their lifts. Drew Hardesty with the Utah Avalanche Center reminds people that it's not just skiing and snowboarding season, but also avalanche season.
And that's avoiding all slopes steeper than 30 degrees and avoid being underneath them because you can trigger them from the valley below.
And Snowbird says safety is their top priority for today. They will continue to assess the situation and see if they can open any terrain up. And Hardesty says that avalanche danger is going to remain high through the week. Guys, back to you.
Yeah, just be careful. That's really the message as you head out.
I don't think people mind either, Mike, waiting if they're going to get all that good powder. So that's good news.
Mike, thank you. Today kicks off avalanche awareness.
Right now, as far as snow is concerned, but you got to be careful making your way through our canyons up and down the Wasatch Front because it was a snowy weekend. For the ski resorts, too, boy, they got a lot of snow. All of that snow comes with the dangers of anybody heading up to the mountains.
Alta had to delay opening by several hours on Sunday because of avalanche mitigation, and avalanche activity forced Snowbird to close all of their lifts except for one. The Utah Avalanche Center lists everywhere right now as high danger.
Yeah, news specialist Mike Anderson joins us this morning. Mike, the warnings are so important because we love to get the snow and a lot of it, but it always comes with this risk.
Yeah, a lot of risk out there this morning, Dan and Lori, and the Utah Avalanche Center says that the danger is high on the high and mid slopes, even considerable on the lower slopes, and they reported dozens of avalanches yesterday.
With this storm, which was a blockbuster, we just knew the danger was going to go through the roof.
And more than 50 inches of snow came down at Snowbird. That combined with strong winds and natural avalanche activity caused them to shut down most of their lifts. Drew Hardesty with the Utah Avalanche Center reminds people that it's not just skiing and snowboarding season, but also avalanche season.
And that's avoiding all slopes steeper than 30 degrees and avoid being underneath them because you can trigger them from the valley below.
And Snowbird says safety is their top priority for today. They will continue to assess the situation and see what lifts and terrain they can open up. And Hardesty says danger is going to remain high into the week, and with so much snow on top of a persistent weak layer that we got from our snow back in late October, early November. Back to you.
All right, Mike Anderson live for us this morning. Just be careful out there.
Yeah.
And UDOT putting out their own reminders to drivers. Take a look at this.
Come and adore him.
Organizers with Utah Valley Refugees held an awareness night in Provo over the weekend. The group helps people displaced from other countries and helps them establish a new life here in Utah.
The best way to help refugees is to be there, to be close to them, to be their friend. That's what I always say, because when you are their friend, you will know what they really need.
And their goal is to make those refugees self-reliant within 6 to 12 months by helping them find housing and employment. Many of the people they're helping right now are from Ukraine, as well as Africa and Latin America. And if you'd like to make a donation or even get involved, visit UtahValleyRefugees.org. December 23rd, it's going to be a bus day.
Hit the slopes this season, plus addressing allegations of abuse in an article posted by the Associated Press. Hear the response from the leaders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
This is like for the rest of your work week coming up in just a bit.
All right, sounds good. Kevin, thank you. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints addressing a newly published article by the Associated Press. It details allegations of sexual abuse by a father who is a former Idaho bishop. News specialist Shara Park joined us from the newsroom now with a history on this case and a statement from the church as well. Shara?
Mike, the church says that John Goodrich was excommunicated 8 years ago after it learned of the abuse. In this article published Sunday night, the Associated Press details allegations of sexual abuse by John Goodrich, a former bishop in Mountain Home, Idaho. Goodrich was excommunicated by the church in 2015 after he allegedly confessed to another bishop that he abused his daughter more than 20 years earlier. In the article, the survivor claims an Idaho prosecutor dropped abuse charges against Goodrich because the bishop he confessed to declined to testify, citing the clergy penitent privilege under Idaho state law. In a statement from the church, it says in part, only the perpetrator could release the bishop from his obligation under the clergy penitent privilege, and he refused to do so. The bishop was subpoenaed to testify in this case, but prosecutors released the subpoena and he was not recalled to testify. The church had no role in influencing the prosecuting attorney to dismiss the criminal case. The AP article claims that in 2017, the church tried to cover up the case by settling a civil claim with the survivor for $300,000. As part of the agreement, the AP claims a church representative asked the survivor to destroy any recordings made with church officials discussing it. The church strongly denies the allegations that it attempted to keep the abuse a secret, saying in their statement, nothing in the agreement kept her from talking about the abuse she suffered or the facts of the case itself with anyone. Both parties mutually agreed not to disclose the financial terms of the settlement. In its statement, the church says the abuse of a child or any other individual is inexcusable. You can read more about this specific case and the church's full statement on our website right now at KSL-TV.com. Mike.
All right, Shara Park live in the newsroom for us tonight. Shara, thank you. Also new tonight, 3 people have been
down the runs at noon. Alta and fellow Little Cottonwood Canyon Resort Snowbird opened minimal parts of the mountain during this storm, all to ensure safety for skiers and riders.
Yeah, those restricted openings happening for very good reason here. This weekend, an inbound slide at Snowbird came down in Peruvian Gulch. Crews were doing mitigation work above the bypass road, which remains closed and snow covered tonight.
The area still is not stabilized to the point of opening the Peruvian lift. Snowbird was only able to run their beginner lift Chickadee yesterday, and today they slowly added the tram and Gadzoom on the other side of the resort.
All northern Utah mountains are under a high avalanche danger warning right now.
News specialist Shelby Lofton talked with avalanche forecasters.